Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 8. Episode 8?
Episode 8, man! What are you
Of
playing at?
of the Key Yard podcast. Sponsored by March of the Penguins 2, VAR Strikes Back.
Oh my god.
This is only to be viewed by a select number of people on small, inadequate screens in Stockley Park.
Especially suitable for the black and white clothing that Tottenham Hotspur wear in reference to the Penguins.
Yeah, fair news. All right, how are you today, KB?
I'm not too bad. I have a bit of bragging rights for this episode because, you know that last video that you saw on my YouTube channel that was known as Creepy PMs, and I was reading Reddit stories that people had from creepy men trying to get into their pants, and I read them out, but made them look as ridiculous as possible with funny voices. So I think I saved the day. But
Standard.
What I usually do is I take those YouTube videos and I condense them and then turn them into like TikTok videos for different parts because the limit of TikTok videos is a minute. So it just like gains that social interaction as well. Well, problem solved because that in 3 days I gained like 3,000 followers. So and still counting. So for those TikTok viewers that have come to my YouTube channel as a result of me posting those on my TikTok, welcome. I hope you enjoy your stay. Now bloody subscribe to my Twitch. That's the only thing you haven't done yet, please.
Yeah, nice one. All right, well, who'd have thought that Redditors can be so perverted? We'll get into that a bit later on. Any interesting news of the week?
Just that, really. I mean,
just that.
It has been one of those weeks, isn't it, where everything's been dry and stuff like that.
Oh God, I've had a shocking week this week, I tell you, especially Tuesday. I won't get too caught up in that, but essentially, I am back on furlough now, so I have a lot more time on my hands to do stupid things like this podcast.
Hello, I am going to hand all my editing over to you now, Rob, because I'm going to take advantage of all that free time you've got.
Absolutely.
Good luck.
All right, Michael, how you doing? I've just come from MS Winfield's stream. He's in the chat right now. He was doing a bit of FIFA 21.
How is the game, by the
way? It looks good to me. I mean, I haven't played FIFA since FIFA 15, so I imagine a lot has changed since then.
Yeah,
I'm tempted to get a PS4 because we're planning to do a Mosh Talks FIFA tournament.
Ooh, nice. If that does go on and FIFA 21 does have things like pro clubs and things fixed since FIFA 20, then I might consider getting it. But at the moment, I'm still just playing like the PES 2020 Lite edition because I think there needs to be a proven consistency if I'm going to get a FIFA game for full price, if I'm honest.
Well, it's just the way that they kind of we've mentioned this before in the podcast, but the way that people rip you off on Ultimate Team, you have to spend an extortionate amount of money just to get the best players.
Yeah, it's just that
real life money.
They call it pay to win, and I think in terms of
EA is culpable for a lot of that, not just in FIFA but in other games. This sort of pay to play thing.
Yeah, and I think that's why I like. From what I've seen like Pro Evolution Soccer step up its game in recent years. The only main downside it's got still is that licensing issue, but I find I have a good imagination for that sort of stuff, and I don't expect things to be completely genuine, so I'm happy with what I got. And in terms of the gameplay from that, it does feel more realistic, like the way the players move and things like that. It seems more like how they would move in an actual game. So it has been quite enjoyable so far. And the My Club, which is the alternative to Ultimate Team, on Ultimate Team you tend to like buy players through the transfer market and things like that, through different coins and stuff. Whereas in My Club you have scouts pick out players for you, but I think it's a bit more random. But like,
you have like the gold on PES. You have like the golden balls and the black balls. You know, similar sort of thing. Open to up pack openings.
Yeah,
you know?
And you have what is it? You have the scouts, and then you can raise each player has an experience levels to max out the potential. So if you get like a 67 rated player, I think you can max it out to like 75, and then the rest goes for that. So you can still stick with some players that you might have in your team.
Yeah, pretty much. Michael's raised an interesting point. It will be good when it dies down to separate from those who have spent a lot of money compared to those who don't on FIFA Ultimate Team.
Yeah.
But he says he thinks he prefers the gameplay of presumably that's of PES to FIFA 20.
Yeah, I mean,
I know a lot of people who do. The PES FIFA debate is a long-standing one.
Yeah, I think FIFA's always going to win the battle for as long as people are going to be playing it, because it seems like the closest thing to a simulation game for football. But from what
I feel like I've got a good segue actually. Speaking of FIFA,
yeah.
One thing that I didn't mention in the preamble to this, and I just remember now, head of development of FIFA, I believe now, Arsene Wenger, is actually going on Graham Norton next week.
Is he? Wow.
Yes. So I'm very much looking forward to that.
Is he going on with Mourinho by any chance?
Oh, that would... Oh. I don't know. Do you think... I feel like they probably like each other by now. They probably have a certain amount of respect for each other.
Oh, yeah.
But it'd be just brilliant if they just evolve into like a full-on Jeremy Kyle spat in between the two, with Graham as the mediator.
Mourinho with the backhand.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that because he's got a book coming out, you see, which I'm tempted to buy.
Yeah.
Just so I get the inside story of why the hell he signed Park Chu-young and Amaury Bischoff and Marouane Chamakh and all these players like that.
That's all wasted on me. Like, I think, but when Poch was around, he was signing players like Nkudu and things like that. So now we've got Bale back to the club, and
Aurier seems to have come good though. He really does.
Yeah. Well, we'll get to that in a bit.
We'll get into that later. But yeah,
the last thing I would like to say on FIFA is, what was I going to say? Why can't I remember these things? No, I think if it is to the case of getting it so I can do a tournament and stuff, then by all means I want to. But I don't want to waste my money on packs again. I don't like it. I don't even like it staring at me in the face.
Awesome. All right, well, keep your questions and your comments coming in chat, by the way. We are recording this live on Twitch.
I thought you was going to say keep your comments to yourself.
Keep your comments leave your stupid comments in your pockets, in the words of The Room. Have you seen that film?
What, the one with Tommy Wiseau?
Tommy, yeah.
Oh, God. Yeah. Anyway, how's your sex life?
Anyway, how's your sex life? Oh, hi, Mark.
I did not hit her. It's not true. It's bullshit. I did not hit her. I did not.
Hi,
Mark.
It's one of those that you kind of have to watch in your lifetime just to marvel in its absurdity.
It's not.
It's how bad it is. I need to read the rest of The Disaster Artist. I've got the book. I've never seen the film, but I've
seen the film. It's brilliant.
Absolutely. The book. I've made a start on the book, and the book is amazing so far. But anyway, just to wrap up my interesting stories of the week, I was actually just on Dan from Tesseract's stream before coming down here as well. And I resubbed to him, and he read the notification in my comment that came with it, which was on my way to London last night to the World's End to meet my mate Dan. I was watching their set from the Scala in about 2015. It's called Odyssey/Scala. And I was like, oh, wow, man, that's one of your I really love that set. And he goes, well, I appreciate you saying that, but in my opinion, it's one of the worst vocal performances I've ever done.
Fair enough.
So I felt a bit awkward. It just gets me thinking, like, how artists, particularly singers, view themselves. You get some that have their big egos and feel like they can't put a foot wrong vocally. And you have others like Dan, who is actually, he's a vocal coach as well, like a professional one.
Every singer has their off
I guess
days.
you have to be self-critical of yourself watching your own voice back, because in order to grow as an artist,
Of course, yeah. I mean, from my own point of view, when I've made covers and things, there's been times when I felt like I could have done this better, or I could have done that better. I feel like this year compared to last year, there was some parts of me last year that did get things better, and because I've been a bit, I felt like I come back to it a bit rusty, but then I've gotten into it again. So yeah, it's singing can be it can be very mixed up at times, and the one thing I think the one major thing that every aspiring singer has got to keep in mind is that idea of breathing. I think is one of the most important things.
Breathing is key.
It is key. Absolutely.
I had a couple. I had a year and a half of singing lessons, pretty much. And my teacher couldn't stress enough the importance of making sure to sing from your diaphragm, head voice, making sure a smooth transition from chest voice to head voice and vice versa. Making sure you breathe properly, because she said my pitch and all that was spot on, right? That was all fine, but my breathing really, really needed work, and it's something that I'm still working on.
Yeah, like even when I talk now, a bit of a practice that you can put into training your normal talking voices. If you hold your nose and you could still talk fine without like that. You're talking a good way that projects your voice out. But if you're talking through a head voice, you'll know, because it starts sounding like this, and then when I do that, it starts sounding like that when I don't have my fingers on my nose. Whoa.
What's up, Dr. Joe Magnum? We're just talking about vocal training.
Yes.
Which we've both gone through. So there's that one. It's just interesting, because he's such a phenomenal singer, Dan Tompkins. If you've never checked out Tesseract or his side project, which is called White Moth Black Butterfly, which is kind of I describe it as kind of alternative kind of chamber pop. It's so good. He's such he is a man who's in full control of his what he wants to portray vocally.
Another additional point is cardio as well. I think helps out with vocal performances as well.
Oh yeah, being in shape for sure. I mean, if you look at Vince Neil from Motley Crue, that famous video, Keystone Maha.
Yeah, because when I'm very unfit, I don't perform as well as I do when I've gone to the gym and done some running on the treadmill, because I come back with not feeling as tired, and I don't feel like my diaphragm's about to cave in at the end of a song, or So it's good.
It's interesting, isn't it? You anatomically you do need to be careful. A lot of people don't realize that they kind of just sing and think they're singing correctly, but actually they're doing a lot more damage to themselves.
Oh yeah,
I know when you're screaming, right, Kieran? How long did it take you to actually perfect that? Your screaming technique.
I don't even think that I've perfected it per se. I think it's something that I
get it to the best of your ability.
That's a good one, because it's to actually get a rasp in there and to get that aggressiveness, getting to a point where I'm happy with the performance as of late. Probably took me probably about 6 to 8 months, I believe.
Oh wow!
I've still got my vocal cover up of Kill Switch Engage that I did at the very start, and I'm very happy to show that to people if they want to see it, if I can find it. But
getting all the plugs in. Yeah, no, I've got to say, I really wish I could learn to growl / scream properly, because it's not easy. We have those Jared Dine videos of him going up to people in the street and saying, "Show us your best metal scream."
Yeah,
and it always sounds so. They either can't get the volume or they can't get the velocity.
Yeah,
and having that good compromise of both is something that I would love to learn how to do.
Yeah, it is one of those things where it's not just how it sounds, but how you kind of protect your voice at the same time. You'll know, because a lot people like Devin Townsend, for example, they'll scream like that, but then they'll sing just as well. But when I was screaming at the start, I could feel a little bit more sort of strain when I went back to singing, or a little bit of raspiness here and there, and that's the sort of thing you want to avoid. That's the sort of thing that will, if you keep that sort of stuff up, that will mess your voice up a little bit, depending on how long you do it for. If it's a one-off thing, it'll surely recover, but if not, then you are going to suffer in the long run. But Let me just show you real quick the In Due Time cover that I did ages ago.
I don't think I've ever seen this.
Oh, be amazed.
And I'm the biggest Killswitch fan ever, so like, we'll see this.
Now you can't hear that, but it sounded like a chicken being strangled, essentially. It was, and you could see it in the face and everything as well. It's. I'm worried about what is going to happen next.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I dropped my microphone as well, so you can see just like hanging in there a little bit. But I think this was my old bedroom that was outside the house, and my mum was just in the kitchen there. So there was a bit of walls between that, but she probably thought that one of the cats was dying, or So
oh bless. But that was when you were starting.
Yeah. So that is 2013, as you can see there. So that is 7 years ago. So I've re-enabled holy shit, sounds like a
holy shit. Oh, that's.
Don't know who Dom is, but I'm pretty sure he's not a
this
dominator.
kid called Dom. He also sounded like a chicken.
No,
I'm sorry.
But compare that to now. Everybody has their own opinions. At the time, probably it sounded good to me, but you look back. It's one of those things where you look back on it, and it's not the best thing that you hope to make. But one day, maybe I will come back to this cover and actually make good use out of it.
So I feel like you can do it now.
Yeah,
I've heard your covers. You can go.
Oh, yeah, I not necessarily this song I've practiced with, but I practiced with other Killswitch Engage songs. I will say this: "Strength of the Mind" is one of the hardest songs to vocally cover.
Oh man, Jesse is so overlooked. I got to tell you, like I know I love Howard, right? And I feel like we've covered this every single week at some point, but Howard's great and he's objectively a better singer, but people really seem to discredit Jesse, and I think that's very unfair.
Yeah,
he can definitely go.
It's just, if you imagine that song and Tim doing like a scream this part and then straight after in the verse doing this like these belting cleans, and it keeps going through the entire song. That's what makes it difficult, because that's one thing that is can be quite difficult when doing vocals is that quick transition from harsh vocals to clean vocals. That can be absolutely very difficult.
And obviously Killswitch is all over the shop with that. So he was like a lot of people when he started Jesse, when he did Lava Just Breathing, he didn't know how to scream properly. Ended up messing up his voice. That's part of the reason why he left Killswitch in the first place. And then he started working. When he came back, he started working with Melissa Cross, who does the Zen of screaming. I think she's responsible for.
Yeah,
and she teaches all the metal musicians around the world to scream properly. And you can absolutely tell on Atonement that his voice has improved. I agree, Murray, man. Strength of the Mind is a massive tune, and Incarnate, I think, was an underrated album as well. But,
well, you didn't think that before, did you? I think you listened back to it, didn't you? And you were like, "Oh wait, I it's underrated in my ears."
Well, it's weird, right? Because I was going through my entire iTunes library, rating all my tunes out of 5 stars, and I kind of listened to Incarnate when it first came out, and I was like, kind of disappointing, not as good as the previous one, Disarm the Descent. And then it turns out I like a lot of tunes on there are rated 5 out of 5. Just listening to it as a shuffled collection of songs as opposed to an album. It's a strange thing. So that's vocals anyway for you. And do follow DM Tesseract on his stream.
Yeah, I'm looking to follow more streamers anyway, so come on over and I'll come right back.
Yes. So just quickly wrap up my other news for today. My local music venue, Bedford Esquires, is reopening.
Nice.
And I'm very infused about that because, it's obviously been a tough time for all of us with in the music industry and live music venues closing left, right, and centre.
Absolutely, yeah.
I'm just so glad that it's survived. It's been very, very good to me over the years. It's where I played my first ever full gig, full set. We have great open mic nights down there. We had Skindred play there a couple of times,
Nice.
which is
My
always
boys,
brilliant.
my boys, Skindred. Just
Your boys, yeah.
one town over from us.
They're from Newport, right?
Yeah, they're from
Yeah,
Newport.
Newport Helicopter. Benji's a right geezer. I actually met him after first seeing Skindred there. And at the time, my hand was in a cast because I'd just come off the back of my car accident. So I think he took a lot of sympathy on me. But he's such a geezer. And just to see him wandering around Danny's bar, which is like this tiny little like area with like a small platform for open mic nights and a tiny little bar, just see like a giant of the industry just wandering around nonchalantly.
Yeah.
It's a bit like when Chuck Mosley played down at Lady Luck in Canterbury. This guy who used to sing for Faith No More, just in our tiny little bar on the Canterbury High Street.
Absolutely, yeah.
Rest in peace to Chuck there. So I'm delighted about that. And there's been a lot of support through crowdfunding for this place and everything, which is awesome to see. So I just hope that the gigs they've got coming up will able to sort of manifest some money out of it. So the only other thing I was going to cover is World Mental Health Day today, apparently.
And I need to make sure my mental health, my annoyance isn't deteriorated by that fucking door.
Yeah, fair dude.
Keeps banging itself all the time.
Right, fair dude.
Hello, dressing gown. Right.
So yeah, I won't really go too far into it, but there have been instances where I've felt incredibly depressed over the years, be it one reason or another. And it's not, obviously the current climate has exacerbated a lot of people's mental health struggles.
Yeah.
So hopefully, this. It's been a difficult week all around for me, really. What with the news about Van Halen and me going back onto furlough again. I didn't have a very nice Tuesday, But yesterday, went into London, saw my mate Dan. That was a good pick me up. So I just guess what I'm just saying really is take care of yourself.
Yeah. Well, if I may, I'll share what I've put on Twitter. Essentially, I've put like sort of a long thread through just to show my experiences, like with the stuff I've been in the past. I've been diagnosed with anxiety, depression, cyclothemic traits, which is like a mild bipolar, as well as autistic traits as well. So like there's that sort of thing there. But I haven't really had like a specialist kind of assessment for that sort of thing. But either way, that doesn't really change who I am or anything like that. I am who I am. So I've basically said along the lines of, it's been a long road for me, growing up feeling like I've never fitted in anywhere, and later encouraging myself to stand on my own merit, only needing myself to prove to. 2020, I would say, like, despite all the pandemic stuff going on, it's been a year for myself personally full of resolutions and won battles for me compared to previously. I feel like, my mental strength this year has been a lot stronger than it ever has been. But it goes to show that, like, hard work, it pays off in the end, and that life in itself can be like a game of poker in that self. It's about the hand. It's not about the hand you give them, but the way you play that hand. And I would shut friends and family out a lot. Usually be silent, but it's nice now to be more open to accepting that kind of help, and talking to friends when I need to and stuff. I think years ago, like 2016, when I left uni and stuff, that was more the downhill point, because I just left uni. The job pool at that point, coming fresh out of uni, was very difficult, because most of these places, even for entry level, they wanted experience. And where'd you get that experience from? Mostly unpaid internships and things like that. getting, and then 2017 rolled around. I had a job in 2016 that didn't really work out even within the first week, so I left that one. They didn't really have the time to train me or anything. Fuck you stupid curtain. But yeah, then I had like a really sorry.
I'll let you deal with the curtain.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, well, in the meantime, I had my fair share of struggles over the years, flipping off the curtain.
This is a serious moment, okay? Can I get back to it, please?
Yeah, sorry.
So like 2017 rolled around, I had this job that was like the absolute worst. In terms of like being put down when submitting work, I didn't feel like anything was like given much credit or anything like that. And then like lack of adequate management and things put me in another spiral. Being gaslit in the same year by someone. I won't get into that because that includes someone else as well. And I've even had like suicidal episodes from that time till now twice. Like it's not it is like it even feels difficult to talk about now, but if I'm not going to talk about it now, when would I ever talk about it,
Exactly, yeah.
So I'd prefer to do it when
like
it's appropriate.
Right day,
yeah, exactly. But on the bright side, the job I've had for 3 years now, me moving to Cardiff, although it had a rocky start and I've had to go on medication during that time and, very close to coming off it. I feel like, having that happen and meeting my girlfriend who I've been with for nearly 2 years now, moving in with her and, just getting my finances straight, all that kind of stuff. I feel like I've turned the table a lot and, if you see my videos now on YouTube and things like that and my consistency through all that, you can see a big change in the way I present myself and stuff like that, and that's because I don't have anything. I don't have as much holding me back as I used to, and it's always going to be improvements made, but that's all part of the fact that we're human and we're not. There's not a point where we become totally right about everything. There's just a point where we become like less wrong about before, or just more experienced to deal with things. So, in life, the big things that change you are the experiences that you get, and through that time, I've realized that as long, turning your weaknesses into strengths and turning your downfalls into positives in some way will help towards getting to that point where you can feel satisfied with the way things are going. It's not easy, but it's doable.
Yeah, well, you're still here and everything, so I'd say you're
absolutely
winning.
Yeah, and I don't regret anything, because if I did that, then I wouldn't have let go and moved on. I just got to accept that is the past, and this is now, and this is who I am now.
Well, yeah, I couldn't have put much better what you've just said there. I will say I've had my fair share of struggles. Like I thought, like last year was one of the worst years of my life, personally.
Yeah.
I was in a, like, I don't know, I was drinking far too much, and I was like, I was in a bit of a rut with work, and it is a struggle. If anything, this whole situation we're in now has allowed me to appreciate the smaller things.
Yeah.
In life, that I kind of took for granted, really.
Yeah.
When I was.
I'm quite grateful that the amount of people that have taken positives out of this whole lockdown scenario. Because a lot of the time before the lockdown even happened, people were worried about their mental health and stuff, and maybe I don't know how much for a lot of people it definitely has affected mental health, but in many ways people have taken the time now to enjoy so many opportunities of walks of life and things like that.
Well, I'll tell you what, staying off of social media was a big one for me, right? I used to be on Facebook all the time, like in the past couple of years, and it was just I never realized it how much it was actually getting me down. Just
Yeah.
seeing some of the stuff on people's timelines, trying to present yourself as something,
Mm.
um, something have a USP on it and things. And Twitter's even worse, really. Just
Yeah,
the
I know what you mean.
amount of that's what I very rarely use Twitter nowadays, or
Yeah.
and I've done very I've kind of done very well for myself keeping off of Facebook, and my mental health has improved tenfold from avoiding social media.
Yeah, yeah.
Twitch is one of those few instances where I found great communities on Twitch. I don't know what it is. I feel like maybe the interactive live element of it plays a factor. Uh, but also you're not. It's. I feel like it's a lot more personable on
Yeah,
Twitch.
of course. And even extending that to Discord and things like that is even more personable. I remember, I won't go too much into this scandal as such, but it relates to the Smash Brothers community. Do you ever hear about that?
I'm not aware of this. No.
It was just basically a lot of people in the Smash community were had been outed as sex offenders and things like that.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Okay.
the point that I'm getting to is that for fans of mine who joined my Discord and just they wanted to get away from it at the time from Twitter
Discord,
and stuff.
Discord is
They
great.
wanted to.
Michael's just pointed out Twitch and Discord, the greatest thing I've discovered since lockdown.
Yeah, so people came to me and the rest of the community in my personal Discord, well, not personal, but my channel related Discord, and just wanted to get away from it, and I wanted to do the best I could to make sure those people felt comfortable. And I always say to people, even if you just need to talk or you need to get something off your chest, I'm more than happy to be the person who listens and things like that. Throw whatever you want at me. Go ahead, and I'll just be like, I understand, mate, because I've been through those same things myself, or not those same things, but similar situations, and I can appreciate how tough it is at times.
Absolutely, especially nowadays. But I also extend my my ears to whoever's on Mosh Talks or whoever's out there.
Yeah.
I'm also on Kieran's Discord. I've been in that same position. I've like, even like a few weeks ago, I was like completely down the dumps and just not feeling it that week at all. But yeah, I think one of the worst periods for me was just after I had my car crash. Like I said, alluded to earlier, I was in a head-on collision with another guy coming back from work, and right off my car, broke my hand. And this was at a point in my life where I was working 2 part-time jobs, and I was just doing freelance work for the industry I wanted to get into. And I was just not happy at all. The freelance, it's a situation I might find myself in again, but you can get taken advantage of a bit.
Yeah. Oh yeah, most definitely. And even now, it's they're with the loads of price hiking that's happening at the moment and all that kind of stuff. But no, I was gonna say something else as well. I think the way that I've like I broke my leg last year. I think I just made the most out of it. I think I was just like,
you managed to come to download that year.
But I think that those boots hurt more than my broken leg.
Well, it was
a
bit on edge, wasn't it? I was kind of like, oh yeah, let's do another download vlog, and then you break your leg, and it's like very much up in the air.
Oh, I'm not letting that stop me. Even if my leg was still broken at the time, I still would have gone to download. No problem. We just made a meal out of it, because download is my home. Download is it's my home, which I always love to complain about every year.
Well, isn't that what most people do in any walks of life? Even though no matter how close you are to it, just nitpick and stuff.
Yeah.
Festivals make me feel good. That is like once they return, that will be such a release for me.
Yeah,
absolutely. In terms of some of my pent up mental anguish,
I think. No, the way I've like put up with social media at times now. Like, I use Twitter to kind of like talk about myself, all the videos that I've done, and blah blah blah. If I do see any politics or anything like that, or I usually ignore that stuff for the most part. Or if someone says something silly, I just you know me, I'm more tongue in cheek with that sort of stuff. So I just find a way to, I just find a way to amuse myself over it. So that keeps me in a good mood, and they can either respond to it in some sort of way. There was some sort of argument before. I don't know if I mentioned this on one of the past podcasts where some guy was arguing with me, and then some other guy jumped in, and then it just became a juggling contest. And then them two, one of them said something, and they triggered the other person, and then they started.
You got the old popcorn out.
Yeah, and I just went. And I just stood back. I was like, "Well, I'm no longer a part of this. Bye, bye, guys."
I'm glad that you can spin it into something that amuses you. You know, because for the most part, I've always been like this throughout my entire life. I take things to heart so much, even if it doesn't affect me. Even if one of my friends is upset about something, it will upset me if I see that they're upset.
Oh no, you know? I totally get that, because like I've been like that many times, and I think the way that I deal with it is not so much trying to avoid it, but trying to kind of reason with it, and then that will bring us both back up, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's kind of my strategy towards that. And like before, when I was on Instagram, I'd see people's holiday photos or, you know, relationship photos, and I'd be like, oh, I don't know, I have that sort of stuff, and blah blah blah. But the thing to realize with all that kind of stuff is that people may put up those photos, but it doesn't really stop them from having shit going on in their life as well.
Yeah, of course
everybody does. So,
but then again,
it's the reality of it, isn't it?
I wouldn't say empathise, but I can understand if it's a release to make them feel better about themselves.
Yeah,
you know,
of course.
At the same time,
yeah,
it's kind of, you mentioned juggling. That's a good word I would use to describe most people on social media. It's a constant juggling contest between, you know, your own mental state of affairs.
Yeah,
I guess.
And the thing is, Twitter, people argue on Twitter not to see eye to eye, but to win. That is pretty much what Twitter is in that sense. So
essentially,
I don't find much point in arguing. If
it's for me, it's old man yells at cloud every single day.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in plenty of situations where I'm just like, someone is just completely contrarian to something I've said, and then I'm just like, you know what, screw this, I'm better than this.
Yeah, no, I've unfollowed so many people, like, just through, you know, all they ever tweet about is politics or how shit the world is at the moment, and I'm just like, I don't really need, you know, I know how shit the world is at the moment. I don't really need to be reminded of it. I'd rather follow someone like Simpsons Arsenal, who
exactly
constantly makes me laugh at every single post they ever make, you know.
Yeah, like when we talk about football and complain about football, things that happen in that's not like necessarily a world changing situation. It's happening within that sort of bubble of football, in a sense.
Anyway, speaking of football, I'm going to segue that neatly into some of the football news. But yeah, thank you for bearing with us when we discuss that. We didn't really expect it to get that heavy. But
also, thank you to Mike.
We appreciate you listening to us.
Also, thank you to Mike Doc 666, who's also just followed. I've got all this on my
phone. Awesome! Yeah, no, Mike Doc's a good man. Yeah, he's a member of the Mosh Talks community.
Oh, wicked.
Good to have you on board, mate. Just very quickly before we go on to the football. Michael in the chat would be interesting to see how the site plan revisions would have helped with all the walking at download. Yeah, the walking at download last year, we already covered it in our last week's podcast or the week before.
That wasn't the only problem for me. You know, I like my showers, and having it in gold camp, and we love blue camp was just my window's open. How do you feel about that, motorcycle who's driving down the road?
Yeah. But yeah, it's did you not have the VIP showers? Like the shower tokens or whatever you call them?
I ain't paying for that shit. No way.
Nah, all right.
I'd rather like walk out of the shower, slip on some mud, and then have to go back in the shower. That is the true festival experience.
Absolutely. Right, so football news. Well, obviously the big news of the weekend was the absolute drubbings handed out by Tottenham Hotspur and Aston Villa.
Why?
Yeah, to Manchester United and Liverpool respectively. What a crazy day that Sunday was.
I love how before the Tottenham game, people were like, "Okay, guys, what's your predictions for Tottenham v Man U? Ooh, 1-1. Ooh, 2-1 to Tottenham. Now 2-1 to Man U. 2-0 to Tottenham."
No one ever predicts 6-1 in
6-1
ever. If you had that in Iraqi, and you had 7-2 in Iraqi, then I'm going to contact you about the next lotto numbers or something, because just insane score lines that you never ever get in football usually. So I guess talk us through your emotions during the Spurs Man U match.
I think it was just like that laughing status I had, same as when, the whole Chelsea in the Carabao Cup, right at the end, we're like, yeah! I wasn't as excited as that. I was excited more for the fact that if my team can do this, then they should be a force to be reckoned with this season, especially with the depth that Mourinho's got this season now. So I've got good hopes for it now.
You've got a good squad, man.
And considering that Bale has not even started yet, and you've got Harry Kane, who can even play a creative midfielder role among with his striking. He's been up there with the amount of successful passes now. Højbjerg has now come into his own in that defensive midfielder position. We didn't even have Lo Celso on in our games, and even Sissoko stepped up to the plate. MS Winfield said, "I thought Man U Spurs was going to be just another game at Old Trafford when they went up 1-0 through a penalty."
Yes, yeah, Man U got their penalty out the way straight away. Like I said in last week's podcast, sun rises in the morning, sets in the evening. Pandemic is still going on. Man United get a penalty. It's just one of those things that happens every week.
Absolutely. I think it was a stupid tackle from Sanchez, but then I think that was why Lamela did what he did then afterwards, because you know what, two can play at this game. It was very much that sort of thing.
We got Murray Man in the chat saying they have bold prediction sections on the NFL coverage on the NFL Network. Wish they would do something similar on Sky. Patrice, think of something like mad that might happen. Oh, Patrice Evra, he's an utter joy to watch. He's a complete madman. Yeah, but I knew that from his Instagram, right, when he's dancing with raw chickens and things like that.
Roy Keane would be like that. He was the shamble.
We should explain. He was the pundit during the Man United Spurs game.
Yeah.
And there's a great video on Twitter, which is a guy who films it. It's like a still. He paused it during half time or during full time, and he had Patrice Evra just looking miserable, and it panning across to Graham Souness, who's actually smiling for once. And that made me laugh out loud.
Yeah.
Obviously he wasn't laughing about 2 hours later, Graham Souness. When Liverpool got bumped, but we'll get onto that.
I mean, there's so many excuses out of this game that the red card made Tottenham go up 6-1. I mean, even before that, Man U were just awful in the defence. It's got to be said. The likes of Harry Maguire, who was just fumbling with the ball. What was that header that led to Ndombele's goal? He just went straight up in the air.
Honestly, some of the worst defending I've ever seen from a Man United side. Harry Maguire. How is Harry Maguire £80 million? It
doesn't make sense, does it?
Money that just highlights and emphasises how ridiculous money is nowadays in football. I know he's not worth 80 million.
I do feel sorry for Man U fans, because for what was a great club years and years ago has now just turned into this absolute joke. And they
turned us over back in the day, even though Arsene Wenger and Sir Alex Ferguson, that was the big.
Yeah, and Murray Man even said, pull down his own man. You're like, well, what is even that about? And then they got really, apparently they got really angry during halftime because of the red card. And so that's probably why you saw they were lucky not to get more red cards from Luke Shaw.
What is your view on the Lamela incident with Martial?
The problem is, I can understand the whole. Yeah, it wasn't as bad as Lamela made it out to be, but the rules in itself state that an attack and he contacts the face as a red card.
It was a stupid thing. Basically, he shouldn't have retaliated.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like, yeah.
No matter how much of a show Lamela made of it, he was always going to make a show of it.
Exactly.
Martial struck him in the face. So, what can you do? What was that?
My phone dropped.
Yeah, your phone was angry at the Martial sending off. Clearly,
it can go down better than Maguire can. So
yeah, very good.
Yeah.
I mean, Son, I just cannot emphasize this enough how envious I am that you have a player like him. Because I know Man U's defense was awful, right? But you still need to put him in the back of the net. And boy, can that man put a goal away.
Oh, yeah, by all means. Like, that's why Harry Kane has dropped back a bit and just created chances for Son. Because Son can just, he can just burst through the defense. And, you saw it with Chelsea. So I'm trying to get to a point where the sun is not really overshadowing my face. Because it's like, go away.
What's going on about a bloody sun? Just close your curtains or something.
Yeah, there's so many botches in this episode. God damn it. People mark Kane a lot in the box because they know how lethal he can be when that ball touches his foot. But, they forget that we've got players like Son and Lamela and, even players like Ndombele now. And,
honestly, a front three of Son, Bale and Kane is a scary prospect.
Oh yeah, like have you heard how they're really impressed by Kane and not Kane, sorry, but also Kane, but Bale in training now as well. How he's just really impressed the trainers and everything, and he's gotten back to that.
He's got his backswing down. He's got his putting his putting is quite good.
Oh yeah, and you see Mourinho in the caddy going ah.
Yeah. I actually played golf yesterday, funnily enough, yesterday morning.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that I've been playing for years and years and years, and either I'm really good at tee shots and really crap at putting, or vice versa. I can never find a good compromise. So it's one of those things that's psychological, golf. So if Bale was still in that psychological golf mindset, then maybe he can sort of apply it to his footballing ability and be even more dangerous.
Yeah, well, at least now he can play some games with Kane on the weekend now as well. So,
that's true. That's very
midweek,
true.
Actually.
But yeah, bottom line is you hammered them deservedly. I think even Serge Aurier scored, didn't he?
Serge Aurier was fantastic in that game as well.
He's coming good, I tell you.
Doherty's come in. He hasn't been the best starting in, and I can understand he's playing a slightly different position to where he was at Wolves. But I think Aurier's seen that competition and said, okay, I'm going to up my game now, and he's just blasted it through. Same with Ben Davies, actually, to be fair, because, Raylon has come in and he's just been like an absolute rocket on the pitch, and then Ben Davies has been going up there trying to create more chances for the team. So fair play to the team for what they've been doing so far. I think having Bale come in has raised their spirits, and then this whole good promise from the transfer market has really upped their spirits as well. So I think it was a lot. I think a lot of last season was down to lack of confidence, if anything, because I think with Poch losing the dressing room and the injuries happening, I think the players started to lose hope a bit.
Yeah, injuries. You were quite unlucky with injuries, it has to be said. Michael in the chat says he did go to a driving range once, but he didn't quite get the fun of it. No, what you want to do, mate, is go to a good like an 8-holer or something like that, or a 9-holer, just like locally to you. You will. It's a sort of an acquired taste, golf.
I think the beauty of golf in itself, it's appreciating your surroundings whilst you're playing the game and just having it's like a relaxing sport, isn't it?
I gotta say, my dad hit a shot which God knows how it happened, but he managed to tee off and hit a tree.
Oh God!
And then it bounced off the tree and went back straight into the middle of the green.
Oh God!
None of us saw it happen. I thought a squirrel might have dragged it along or something.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm completely digressing. So you hammered Man United essentially, and it was, even as an Arsenal fan, I took great delight in seeing Man United get stuffed like that. And I think Ole, surely he can't last much longer unless Cavani, Cavani, who's pretty much as big of a dinosaur as Gunnosaurus is, and we'll get to that later.
Yeah,
might do some damage.
Willie though, that's the question.
Exactly, Willie. You know,
You know,
unless he can,
If
then
Pogba's not even putting an
Ole's
effort in,
surely done. You know.
yeah, if Pogba's not even putting an effort in, how is Cavani even going to receive the ball that much?
Yeah, you do sort of think they're a bit of a sinking ship at the moment. But it's just nice as an Arsenal fan to see someone else who's a laughing stock for a change.
Well,
Because we've been one for far too long, you know.
Well, speaking of which, some other team has revealed a chink in their armor.
Oh yes,
last weekend.
Now this result, I kind of expected Man United to get stuffed by Spurs in a weird way. I did not expect at all the current champions of England to be absolutely pulverized by Aston Villa.
I know. And fair play to Aston Villa for doing that. They bought Ollie Watkins, who even was linked with Spurs at one point, but they thought he costed too much. And then he
looks like a great player, I tell you.
Oh yeah, he netted a hat-trick in that game.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jack Grealish getting some goals in himself, and I feel
even Ross Barkley scored.
Barkley.
Jesus Christ! You know you're bad then on that day if you have Ross Barkley scoring. In fairness, there was 3 deflected shots in that game that all went in. So there's an element of unluckiness, but still, Adrian for that first goal, there's absolutely no excuse. You know the way he, and it just brings my point back of the playing from the back, right? It only ever benefits the other team, from my experience. You know, it's something that needs to be scrapped. But I feel like every Premier League team, that's just the way they play nowadays. And obviously, you have to blame the Liverpool high line, the defensive high line for that, because they were just it ended up just becoming so exposed, and the attackers were just getting in so easily and just pulverizing them. You know,
I know. Like I think the last. I wouldn't say it's an embarrassing defeat, but the last defeat, I think, was it like the only defeats I've seen from last year or last season from Liverpool were like I think there was one where just their youth squad was on because they were in the Super Cup or something like that, and then there was the knockout from Atletico that I think showed other teams that. I think a lot of teams have been scared by Liverpool because they felt like they were like invincible, but they're not. They're not invincible.
I feel like Mane was a massive loss.
Oh yeah,
Mane and Alisson. I mean, Alisson's a top keeper, right? Adrian's not half bad, but that midfield without Mane, Roberto Firmino looked like he couldn't put the ball away.
Oh, what was that TikTok I saw the other day, actually, of it was showing like, oh, I'm the best striker in the league. No, I am. And then Firmino was like, hold my skyline, and then just kicked it off into the stratosphere.
Yeah. So Michael says, Alisson's so key to the way Liverpool play and the general confidence he gives the defence. Seems every time Adrian plays, everyone just panics.
Yeah.
That's a fair point. That's a very fair point. I mean, it could be worse. They could have Karius behind the back again.
That's the thing, see, because like when Hugo Lloris was injured, we had Gazzaniga.
Yeah.
And we weren't as good in defence, but we still were able to. We were still able to hold a bit, and even in the Liverpool game last season, Gazzaniga did a terrific job there, and it was the game where Japhet Tanganga shined. Which he does need to get a bit of his confidence back because he hasn't played many games really.
Yeah, I mean, what if Leno gets injured? We're screwed. I still don't feel like selling Martin. If that was part of a make weight for the Partey deal, then fair enough. But I still rate Martinez as a goalkeeper highly, and he's clearly proving it with Villa so far. Villa are absolutely blitzing it at the moment.
Yeah, like a lot of Spurs fans, speaking of transfers, are quite a bit let down that we didn't get Skriniar on deadline day, and I think there was some key factors to that. I think Inter Milan didn't have many backups for looking for another defender, so they were very reluctant to sell Skriniar to begin with, and originally it was going to be a swap deal for Ndombele. For him, and I'm glad we didn't sell Ndombele. I didn't want to sell him to begin with, and then it was because they admitted if we came to them sooner about Skriniar, there would have been a deal on the table, but we were like £50 million off the suggested amount, because I think they wanted like €45 million for him or something like that. For a world-class defender like him, I don't think it's too bad, to be honest.
No. I mean, we paid 45 million for Partey. That was his release clause.
Yeah, and Partey's...
And we triggered it on deadline day.
Yeah.
I mean, it must. That's why I feel like the Martinez thing must have been like a make weight for the because the fact that we're still getting rid of staff, sacking Gunnosaurus. I've got, when I said I wanted fewer dinosaurs in Arsenal, I didn't mean it literally. But that whole stuff with I feel like I give out far too much about Mesut Ozil on this podcast, but the whole thing about him offering to pay Gunnosaurus, that is just nothing more, in my view, than a cynical PR move conducted by his team. His PR team make Joseph Stalin look like Colin Rooney,
Oh, dear. Yeah, I just...
And the sooner he goes, the better my life will be. Apparently, he almost went to Saudi Arabia, is what I read just before coming on here on deadline day. One of those lucrative kind of tax-free moves, to Al Ahid or whatever, wherever these luxury players go.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, isn't it? Like, Bale almost going to China last year. The transfer window is so weird, man.
Really is.
Steve Hitchin is not gonna like January.
But in terms of Thomas Partey, so I got this from the Metro. It's from Andy Yeardom, who's one of his teammates for Ghana. It says the way he keeps the ball in tight positions when you think he might lose it is really impressive, and that ball retention is something that we have struggled with, as a team in fixtures before. So that's always a good asset to have. He just stands out. It's hard to describe him as a certain type of player because I don't think I can. But personally, and this is going off what I see him in training and also the games he's played for Ghana, I think he has the attributes for the number 8 role and to be more of a box-to-box midfielder.
Nice.
Which is interesting because I always thought he would be the kind of player that sits in the hole in front of our centre-backs.
I think he does. He seems like an all-around box-to-box, doesn't he? Or is that how?
And that's why we ended up loaning out Torreira, which I'm really sad about. Actually, I feel like Torreira still had a role to play.
I think he was one of the better players in your team. Definitely,
I think so. Yeah,
but
again, if that was, he went to was it Atletico he went to? So if that was another make weight as part of the Partey deal, then I can rest a bit easier.
Yeah. So,
but yeah, Gwen Doozy we also loaned out as well to Hertha Berlin. He's like,
lost it a bit, isn't he?
He's done, I think.
Like, who did we loan? We loaned Ryan Sessegnon to
Ryan Sessegnon. Like, I thought he was going to do quite well. He had a lot of potential when he's at Fulham, and then he just you just didn't play him.
I think we had potential to play him. I don't know why we did. Why we didn't? Because he was he's now left winger for Hoffenheim on loan. Who else? One Foyth went to.
Foyth, yeah. I do remember Foyth and his fantastic performance against us when it was 4-2. You remember that game?
Yeah, One Foyth. Yeah, he's gone to Villarreal, and then there was someone else, but I can't remember who also went off. But Murrayman also asked, and this will probably be the next thing that we can talk about because it is quite recent, is the pay-per-view stuff from the Premier League. This is I've seen.
I just feel, as if the Premier League's standards and practices can't let me down enough. Things like this come along.
As if it wasn't expensive enough to begin with. Like it's such an add on Sky Sports and all that to everything you already pay.
In the Mod Talks Discord, we were all talking about season ticket prices, and ours is like one of the most expensive in the league,
And not just that, there's no it doesn't seem like they are covering season ticket holders who can't go to the stadiums, which is
the way we did it, the way Arsenal did it, they might change it, but essentially some sort of like they paid for a certain amount of your season ticket.
Right. Okay.
Some weird ballot thing where like I don't even know. Like they had to. Just the way we've laid off a bunch of staff has made me feel quite sad. Obviously Gunnosaurus being the latest one, the guy, our mascot. It just suggests that football, as we know it, is going to continue to be under these restrictions with no fans coming in. I don't agree with a pay-per-view format at all. There's so much money that Sky provide the Premier League anyway, and ITV and stuff, and it's
the thing where
we got the fact we're going through a recession and people were losing their jobs, and it's the one thing they have to come back to is.
But can you imagine paying, like, say your team plays four games in a month and they're not televised? Imagine that's 60 quid you've paid right there to watch those games. That's the maximum, and you can't. When it comes to boxing and those sorts of pay-per-view events, they don't happen very often, so it's a bit of a one-off in those sorts of ones. But even that, I can't really justify it that much either. But I think it's going to encourage more people to stream illegally, so it's going to shoot themselves
time to go
in the
on bloody dodgygames.co.uk with all the pop-up ads.
Yeah, and people would rather that than pay 15 quid per game. It's stupid.
I don't know. It depends how much. There's definitely going to be people who do it, because football is their livelihood, sort of thing. But Michael says for Forest, we are being given a code for season ticket holders to watch all home games and midweek away games for free. In the EFL, all games are 10 quid pay-per-view. Yeah, I mean, the Premier League, the amount of money tossed about in the Premier League for those sorts of fixtures is ridiculous. At times it makes me think. Championship clubs are more humble and more grounded in reality, whereas there's all this money floating about, and you just get the impression these people aren't with the real world.
Because it does make you wonder if they were really suffering, they're charging like 15 quid for this, and where are they getting all this transfer money from? Like, how did Chelsea just fork out 200 million? How are Tottenham able to fork out 75 million?
How are we supposedly being run by one of the biggest billionaires in the world, and we still have to lay off like 50 staff. We can't keep them on retainer, and we have who sitting on 350k wedge a week, and it's screwed.
Absolutely. But
to use a less a less offensive term,
effed.
Effed.
So yeah, there's that. So the one thing that we were going to talk about last week, but we didn't get a chance to because we'd overrun, was the.
Now, before we get into that, there is still the small matter, and I guess with Arsenal, our fixture, just your standard kind of got away with it performance again, but encouraging signs, and just makes me think we should play Aubameyang through the middle. Because he was playing on the wing initially, and then as soon as Pepe came on, the Orba switched to this middle position. He was far more effective. But now that Kieran Tierney has to isolate from the bloody Scotland, he was close to his teammate Stuart Armstrong in this group of three, and Stuart Armstrong got coronavirus, so now he has to isolate for 14 days, which means he's going to have to miss the Man City game, which means it's either Kolasinac at left back or Saka. And I prefer Saka, but that will mean Orba will again have to be shifted to the wing, which is just not his most effective position.
I love how in the case for Spurs, they were really unlucky with injuries, but very lucky with coronavirus.
Very lucky with coronavirus.
the only recorded one that we've had for players was Ndombele before pre-season even. So since that,
it's quite a thing. We were also going to mention England 3 Wales 0, but I think both of us didn't really give a toss about that, really.
No.
International friendlies can just do one, I also don't miss the...
Although I will say, because Harry Kane didn't play, those big players didn't play, only, I think from Tottenham, only Harry Winks played and Ben Davies played for Wales. But you had Calvert-Lewin, Danny Ings, and was there another striker or winger?
Connor Cody from
Yeah, that's the one.
Wolves got the other goal.
So yeah, I mean, for them to step up and show that they can mean business as well as people like Harry Kane and Sterling, shows that there is so much depth in the England team.
It was a very young team, and I was really pleasantly surprised with just how little you saw of the standard. It was Nick Pope in goal, Joe Gomez, Connor Cody, Michael Keane, Trippier, who was captain, Calvin Phillips from Leeds, which was a really surprising selection to me. Harry Winks, Saka. I'm delighted for Saka. Ings, Grealish, Calvert-Lewin. So very, very, Southgate seems to be sowing the seeds for a kind of a bright future with England,
Absolutely.
shall we say.
Yeah.
But then again, I very rarely give a toss about international football unless it's an actual tournament. And what I was getting to was that I don't miss the England band at all. The England band, when I come to power, I would just ban the England band from all international tournaments, playing The Great Escape over and over again ad nauseum.
Absolutely. I mean, great that they got their time on the pitch. I think even Harry Winks. I think Jack
Grealish, as Michael points out, he first cap. That was always good to see.
Yeah, definitely. Winks, I think he just still have a way to go with upping his confidence and just pure consistency. But he'll get there. I think he'll get there. He's got potential, but
I feel like this could be Grealish's last season at Villa. Just to kind of wrap a neat bow on the whole 7-2 thing. I feel like he's far too good for Aston Villa.
Yeah, I would say
no offense to Aston Villa fans. But he will get a move to a big club, I reckon, next season.
Yeah, I would say it depends on how well Villa do this season, but I think it might be a case of they done well in these first 3 games, and then later on they will not do great against other teams like Chelsea, Man City.
Yeah, and the last bit of football news before we move on is that Marcus Rashford got awarded an MBE.
Yeah,
so that's always great when someone's philanthropic work gets philanthropic, tomato. Whereas his work with helping out kids and stuff gets rewarded like that. What'd you say?
I said and stuff. Yeah, he helped out people.
Yeah, he helped out loads of people. So it's always great to see.
Yeah.
When someone in sport gets recognised that way. Right. The news that we keep putting off every single week, right? And I'm determined to nip this in the bud because it's something that I'm quite infused in, is that Roman Reigns finally turned heel in the WWE. And now, I should explain a bit of context, right? Back in the day, I was, a few years ago, I got back into wrestling again thanks to OSW and Attitude Era podcast. Shout out to those guys. And Roman Reigns was a perpetual babyface, which basically means he was always the good guy, no matter how the audience reaction to him was. And it turned me off the product in the end, in a way, because they just marketed this guy as the new John Cena and refused to give him anyone else other than him a push as a babyface. Yeah. And finally, he's aligned himself with Paul Heyman and become a Paul Heyman guy, a la CM Punk.
Yeah, I think when it comes to like all the pushes that these guys get, when you can tell it's a forced push, that's what makes it worse. Like in Roman Reigns' case, you already saw previously that he'd botched many of his segments. And
on the mic he was a horrific at times. He wasn't a bad athlete at all, but
there should be
he really needed a mediator like Paul Heyman. I was saying it back in the day as well. Put him with Paul Heyman and have him be the mouthpiece.
Yeah, and I mean, I would say he's improved. And he does have stellar quality matches. From time to time, against whether it's Daniel Bryan or AJ Styles, I've seen some really good matches that he's put on. I just think when it comes to being that mouthpiece and that sort of thing, he hasn't really had much backing from the the fan base, the WWE universe, as it's
Well,
said.
he also hasn't had much backing from Vince either. I feel like there's a lot of times where Vince has kind of left him hung out to dry.
Yeah, of course.
You know, and given him stupid promos like the suffering succotash son one, and brought back memories, right?
Oh
And
god, yeah.
the that thing with Sheamus about calling him a potato or something.
Something like that.
Get it? Because he's Irish. Haha.
For you booing me, take a sip of your beer. Okay,
Yeah.
sounds good. One sip of beer, that will make me drunk.
Oh god. Yeah. So the bottom line was his promos weren't brilliant, and I feel like this just adds another thing to his game. In fact, the article I wanted to bring up was when he talked about his heel turn on Talksport. It says, this is something I wanted to do. It was an opportunity to be able to connect a lot of the dots. It was a bit of a lure as well to get me back in, because obviously he's been absent from the WWE because of his leukemia, which I guess he'll be immunosensitive with the coronavirus going on. But the good news is he's back and he is in remission, which is great news. It was an opportunity to collect those, a bit of a lure to get back in. But for me, I didn't want to just show up and walk different and talk different. I wanted a whole new presentation. And we're going to continue to gradually do that. I thought, what better way than to align myself with essentially a high-powered attorney? If you take the top athlete in the world and mix him with the head mafia boss character, that's who I am. The mob boss will go out there and do the hit himself, but you have to have somebody dotting the I's, crossing the T's. For you who understands the ins and outs and can add that new layer to the whole character and the personality. So yeah, he was up for doing it, which I was good on him, I say. There's not many people that are at the top and you're Vince's boy and you're a perpetual babyface and you're going to sell merch like crazy. To want to do something different like that is a testament, to, I guess, the man that he is.
Yeah,
in real life.
I'm the kind of person that prefers to buy heel shirts anyway, rather than babyface shirts or tweener shirts.
Absolutely. So yeah, he returned at SummerSlam, attacked Bray Wyatt and Braun Strowman after their main event for the Universal Championship. On the following SmackDown, he aligned himself with Paul Heyman, turning heel for the first time since 2014. 6 years of a bad Roman babyface.
And now, Cena,
it's been a long time coming,
Yeah.
And so at Payback, he won a triple threat match over Wyatt and Strowman to win the Universal Championship for the second time, cementing his heel turn after attacking his cousin Jey Uso on the September 25th episode of SmackDown. And his first championship defense at Clash of Champions, he retained the title against Jey Uso after Jimmy Uso threw in the towel. So there you go, full-fledged Roman heel turn. It's something that's a long time coming, something that in my previous life during my short-lived Really Reviews YouTube channel where I was reviewing wrestling, I was giving out about on a weekly basis. I don't know. But I guess before his unfortunate baby face run, I kind of had a soft spot for him, and I'm just glad that he's back in the ring doing stuff. But I haven't watched the product in ages,
Yeah, I guess.
In fairness, because the booking has just been horrendous, I haven't watched it since like Jinder Mahal won the world title.
With his weirdly separated pecs.
Yes. Oh, God.
Oh, no, it's like an angle, isn't it? It's like...
Yeah, that was the thing that turned me off the product. And, the fact that they're still booking horribly and with Retribution.
What's
and all that.
That
anonymous stable that came in called Retribution.
Oh, yeah.
Immediately been buried and booked poorly.
Like,
and it's kind of been a running gag. But I only say this off of things I've heard, like I say, because I haven't watched it. The fact that they brought in Jeff Hardy back and Rey Mysterio, who are two of my childhood heroes, and still couldn't coax me to come back to watching it. Just shows you how often WWE dropped the ball.
Well, many other companies recognize their talent and push them to be main event stars. And there you go. There were stars there. But then people know when they come back to WWE, they're not going to be rated as highly. It's like Christian is a prime example of that. He was such a talented guy, but WWE never gave him...
never gave him time of day, did they?
No, exactly. I know he won a championship, but he lost it in 3 days, didn't he?
And the fact that Jericho now has moved to AEW kind of does suggest And he's doing quite well in AEW at the moment. That seems to be the thing that everyone's turning towards now.
Yeah.
Even NXT has gone to crap, I've heard,
I don't know. I don't know. Like, I haven't
Again,
watched
it's all
wrestling.
hearsay for me because I don't watch the product anymore. But just a little interesting tidbit that Roman Reigns has finally turned heel. Right. Now, onto the world of films, right?
Okay.
First off, I'd like to bring up that I wasn't watching the Liverpool Villa match because I was watching Onward from Pixar.
Okay.
Which is a story about two brothers who are elves in this fantasy world, but it's like a modern fantasy world, a la not kind of Shrek. It's an actual modern setting, and it's a world of fantasy that's kind of grown with the times. And they discover the light bulb, and then they end up, doing jobs that normal humans would do. It's just an interesting narrative, and they have a chance to bring their father back, these two brothers, and they have to go on a quest to see if they can bring their father back to say goodbye to him. Tom Holland and Chris Pratt as the two leads. It's a fun anime, but then again, Pixar very rarely put a foot wrong,
Absolutely.
It's a fun romp.
I have to give it a watch.
The other news from the past week, Borat 2.
Oh, yes. Borat 2 trailer.
Borat 2 trailer. Now, how familiar are you with the first film?
Yeah, I've seen the first film. I remember probably my favourite scene is when they're fighting naked in the hotel. I make Pam Anderson my wife.
You make hard party with my Pamela.
Oh, wasn't there the urn? No, that was something different. That was the dictator, wasn't it? The urn.
No, I haven't seen The Dictator. Is it any good?
It's all right, but I think Bruno and Borat are better. But I think, oh no, what was that scene when they're on about Jews or something, wasn't it? Throw
the Jew down the well.
Yes, throw the
so my country can be free. I mean, Sacha Baron Cohen is a bold guy, a comedian who deliberately winds people up, real people in real situations, to get a reaction.
Yeah.
And obviously, Borat, when it first came out, no one in America had heard this character. So this new film trailer puts an interesting spin on the fact that he's now a recognizable face,
right,
in this world. And I was a fan of the first movie. Can't wait to see this. So let's check out the Borat 2 trailer.
Okay, here we go. That's the trailer.
Now, have you seen this trailer, by the way?
No, I haven't.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
I must admit, I did watch it a few days ago, and I just want to get your reaction to it as well.
Okay, sounds good. Well, let's play.
14 years ago, I released a movie film which brought great shame to Kazakhstan.
Wow, was back.
Instructed to return to Yankee Land to carry out secret mission. I go to America! What do you say? No, it's not me. People
I
recognize
see.
my face.
You see what I mean?
Yeah, I'm liking this already.
Putting a little spin on it.
No spin.
It's because people know who he is now.
Of course.
Fat like American man. Yeah, this is a good one. Where is his crumb? What is problem, officer?
Got somebody that's strapped to the top of your car. Who's in that passenger seat, boss?
Only men and bears are allowed inside car. I'm here to give my daughter as a gift to someone close to the throne.
I need dress with real sexy peels.
This is a bag that just goes over the dress.
They're nice.
I
It'll be interesting to see when abouts they film this.
Sandra Jessica Parker Drummond.
Wow.
I want this one with the baby on it. I have a baby inside me.
Can you take it out?
No, we cannot. That's not what we do here.
I feel
Disguise.
bad because I was
brilliant.
the one who put the baby in her. Did you ever put one in your baby?
No, I did not.
Where is everybody?
They're wanting everybody to quarantine so they don't spread this virus.
Could I stay in your home?
I hope quarantine never ends.
Yeah, so obviously he must have had to change his plans for what this film was originally going to be.
Well, there we go. There's Twitch nudity for you.
Or the Democrat?
Yeah.
Expect me to be shadow banned in a bit.
Yeah, don't.
Killing
Not,
some of the virus.
No, you can't see the virus.
No, it's be fine.
If you
the
think
virus
you see a
is in the
like
wall.
that, this makes the virus sleepy. And then when it's sleeping,
Your daddy has a lot to learn.
My dad
Ah,
is the
we go.
smartest person in the whole flat world.
Oh, there we go. Driving range. Saw that goal.
While the risk of coronavirus
I wonder if he'll run into
remains
bail.
low, as the president said yesterday,
Here we go.
we're ready for anything.
Michael Penis, I brought the girl for you.
for a subsequent movie film,
You fist me.
Subsequent
Now
movie
I
film.
fist you?
There you
What
go.
do you prefer? You fist me or I fist you?
Same time.
Fist each other. Yeah.
Ah, yeah. Ah,
Well, there you go. So October 23rd, that comes out.
lovely, lovely, jubbly. Okay, well, I am
What are
looking
your
very
initial
forward to it.
reactions to that then?
I want it.
You want it?
I want to fist it.
It begs the question though. In a 2020 world where we have all these things about political correctness banding about, to say the least, is there still a place, do you think, for Borat
Oh,
or a character of that ilk?
well,
Or is it just so silly that people will see the kind of funny side of it?
I think it'll be two things in one, because a lot of times, even back then, still South Park was getting a lot of controversy, for example, and it still does now, for many different reasons. But you know, people just got to read between the lines more, and I think that is what is missing from comedy at this point, is where the comedy is aimed to, what is the intention of it, and all that kind of sweet stuff. But Borat, I think it's possible. I think so.
I just think Sacha Baron Cohen is a genius, right? He comes right up to the threshold of like people clocking onto him and going, no, surely this is a wind up, but manages to reel it back just enough so that they go along with it.
Yeah,
You know, and they're none the wiser. It's quite amazing.
it's one of those
how he
things
does-
that YouTube pranksters need to take on board if they are gonna punk people. You know.
Oh god, don't even get me started on YouTube pranks.
Yeah,
Some of them just go way too far, you know.
I know.
But yeah, so that's Borat 2. That is out on the 23rd of October. Don't know what streaming services it's going to be available on. I imagine probably Amazon Prime or Netflix or something of that ilk. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Absolutely, same here. And I'm going to coerce Katie into watching it with me too.
Nice one. Has she ever seen the first one?
I don't know. I think so. Yeah, I think she's been a fan of Borat. Right, you'll go in to be fucking shut once and for all, you bitch. Fucking hell.
Sorry about that curtain-based breakdown there from KB.
Sorry for my foul language.
Yes. Anyway, right. So I guess the next thing I want to bring up is For 'Em or Against 'Em, which we covered, and we showed the trailer of that a few weeks ago. I actually did watch it in the end, and I'm going to give you a brief review of this because I don't want to. We've been going for about an hour and a half now, so I want to, keep the ball rolling, sort of thing. But essentially, Corey was playing to pretty much an empty forum in Los Angeles, but he had his band with him, who are they're very tight, and they're very rock and roll. Have you listened to the album yet, CMFT?
Barely. Like I skimmed over the songs, but I haven't really listened to the album in full.
It's very, very different, right? You kind of, with sounding as least pretentious as possible, you kind of need to put Stone Sour and Slipknot out of your mind before going to listen to
Absolutely.
it, because it's an entirely different beast,
Yeah.
He takes a lot of influence from like glam and a lot of influence from like old school punk rock. He actually did a Dead Boys cover during this set, and he did a lot of Heartland kind of covers. He covered an Eagles song during it, and for the most part, this whole album is very Heartland rock influenced, very glam, very punk influenced. You have things like CMFT Must Be Stopped, which is like a hip hop kind of hybrid, kind of ska sounding hybrid, but that's a bit of an anomaly in the rest of the album's case. You know, there's one song on it called Home, which has piano. And in fact, during this set, he played piano on stage for the first time ever in his career. And he noted that. And he did like a medley of this song called Home into ZZYXX Road.
Oh, I love that song
Stone
so
Sour.
much.
Which I think that's how you pronounce. I don't know whether it's Zix Road or something.
Zix.
But
yeah,
Zix Road or something. He also did Snuff. He did Bother. He did Snuff was actually the only Slipknot song he did in the set, which I was a little disappointed about. But obviously, it's the one to pick, really, isn't it, for a Corey Taylor solo show?
Or an acoustic version of Spit It Out.
I would have liked maybe Vermilion Part 2 or Circle, or I don't know, maybe some of the more acoustic-based Slipknot songs. I feel like that could have worked in the Corey Taylor solo thing. I love Circle, by the way. Very underrated track from Volume 3. He played the entire CMFT album, pretty much, and a handful of Stone Sour songs. What other Stone Sour songs did he do? Like I said, he did Bother, which is like the best Stone Sour song for me. Through Glass as well, he did, obviously. But all of this, you got the impression that this was very much a Corey Taylor solo show, as opposed to like Stone Sour Part 2. You know?
Yeah.
You still paying attention to that curtain?
Look what it's doing.
It's flapping in the way. Look, we're never going to source it, man. Let's just leave it be. You know?
Just piss off.
It's the continuing misadventures of KB and his curtain.
No, I can't see my coffee cup.
Yeah. Can't you like put your coffee cup on the edge of the curtain just to stop it from flapping about?
I tried, but didn't get anywhere. Well, I tried putting it.
Okay, well, essentially, I'm going to wrap it up. So he also had his wife's dance troupe called the Cherry Bombs, providing like, dancing and showmanship and hanging from the ceiling and using like those curtains, pretty much, like long red curtains.
It's spread.
Not your curtain.
The disease is spread.
I was trying to make that a good segue, but Also, he had pyro as well, which was always great to see.
I like fire.
I might actually just quickly look the set list up right now. Set list. Corey Taylor. I've got to thank Tommy Rocks, by the way, for allowing me to use his details to get into to view this.
Whilst you're doing that, MS Winfield also said that my man Michelle on Mosh Talks told us how to pronounce it. It's pronounced Zizix.
Oh, Zizix. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. ZZYXX. Yeah,
Lynyrd Skynyrd,
I know, right? I completely butchered that. I know. It was a 23-song set, so it was a long old set. You know, if that was if he brings that exact set into when real life resumes and people have to go to this, that is, I think it'd be wise to spend your money on this because you get your money's worth for sure.
Eat your heart out, Axl Rose.
Yeah, that's it. He did a lot of covers. He did "Shaken" by Eddie Money. He did the late Eddie Money, of course. All This and More by the Dead Boys, Already Gone by the Eagles, On the Dark Side by John Cafferty and the Beaver Brown Band.
The what?
The Beaver Brown Band.
Okay.
And also with the, you've heard CMFT Must Be Stopped, right?
Yeah.
The whole rapping section. He curtailed around that by doing a Watching You by Kiss as like during the rap parts.
Oh, right.
I must admit, I've never heard that song before, but it sounded good, He also did, like I said, Through Glass. Taciturn. That's another Stone Sour song.
A good one, yeah.
From House of Golden Bones, is it?
Yeah, it's from the... Is it from the first... Yeah, it's from part 1, I think.
Part 1, yeah. And he did Song 3, which was from Hydergrad, which is not my favourite Stone Sour album in the world, I must admit. But that's a decent song. So yeah, essentially it was a good old night, and he was having the crack with the crowd, the non-existent crowd. But it was very. I remember at one point he was like, "God, I am so tired." I'm like, I don't blame you, mate. Oh, that's the police coming to arrest your curtains for being a nuisance.
No, it's because they took CMFT must be stopped, literally.
Yeah, they're going to literally stop CMFT. But anyway, so that was the For 'em or Against 'em gig. And again, a shout out to Tommy Rocks from Mosh Talks for providing me with login details to watch it. Much appreciated, pal.
Sounds good.
Right, we are going to move on to my Reddit segment.
Okay.
That I've been promising. Now, I just thought as a... are we just going to... Right, let's just ignore... Literally going right across your face. It's amazing.
I ain't saying anything.
No,
I've been told to just ignore it, so I'm doing exactly that.
We're just going to deal with that little indiscretion for now. But essentially, see, I haven't got any curtains in my office at all. So this is a new segment where I am basically going to trawl through this Reddit subreddit called "Who is your saddest celebrity encounter?" and then pick out some of my favorites, and then we'll just discuss it. So the first one comes from a deleted account, but it's my brother met Gene Simmons backstage at a show he was playing in. Gene complimented my brother highly on his guitar playing, but then said, "Too bad you'll never make it," and just walked away. That is cold.
If you thought he was a prick before.
Even for Gene Simmons, that is a cold burn.
You're not going to make it because Rock is dead, man.
Oh, God, I still haven't forgiven him for that comment. You know, I know Kiss are playing Download next year, and supposedly they put on one of the best live shows ever, but I'm still not a fan. Well, I say I'm just not a fan of Gene Simmons. You know, so any fans that he's in, he's oh, God. Right, have we dealt with that finally?
Yeah.
Good. All right, I'll move on. So someone's commented, followed up on that, saying, "Oh my God, this is bad. This is so bad."
All right.
So the reply to this comment: Gene Simmons is a douchebag. My dad ran into him in some bar in Baltimore in the very late 70s after a show. My dad wasn't a huge Kiss fan, but appreciated the music and told Gene something along the lines of, "Awesome concert, thanks for the show." Gene looked at my dad, then promptly replied, "I hope the next time you're sucking ass to impress someone, you pucker more." And then walked off.
He's like the biggest pucker with his lips imaginable, so what's he talking about?
No, you're thinking of Steven Tyler.
Yeah, well, I thought Gene was like...
In all fairness, you know, he has that tongue.
2 tongues, you know.
Yeah.
What?
Anyway, we'll stop picking on Gene Simmons. That's just a couple of things.
Stop picking on Gene Simmons. It's retribution, my friend.
Yeah. Although I got to say that as a bit of redemption for that, someone called Too Long Cano Fred or Cano Tread on this subreddit says, Kiss came and played a show at my hometown in the mid-90s, and they asked my brother's band to be one of the opening bands. They said, "No, thank you, none of us are Kiss fans," and left it at that. Brilliant. There you go.
And this is one of the many reasons why I don't see Kiss if they ever headline at Download.
Yeah.
Unless I had some eggs in my hand.
Yeah. I like this one. It's not, again, sad rather than sort of... rude or whatever celebrity encounter. But I had an entirely eyeball body language conversation with Chris Pontius at a guitar center. Chris Pontius from Jackass.
Right.
And Wild Boys, obviously. Party Boy. He was playing an acoustic. I saw him. He looked at me. I realized who he was. He saw that I recognized him and gave me a look that was so sad, like, "Please don't announce to the world that I'm here." I nodded. He smiled and looked relieved. The end.
That's the way it's supposed to be. To be honest, I used to get those chills whenever I met a celebrity, but now I'm just like, oh, they're a human, just like the rest of us.
I'll do one more, and then I guess we could kind of maybe share our own experiences of meeting someone famous.
I've got one in mind actually, but we'll save it for that.
Yeah. My mum found Paris Hilton incognito at an airport, came to find me, brought me to a tiny lady in a hoodie and big sunglasses in the middle of the airport, goes, "Hi, are you Paris Hilton?" Then pushed me in front of her and said, Here, say hi to my son. Like I was a weird birthday gift or something. She said, sup. I said, sup. And then she did this weird little laugh. Then my mum goes, okay, bye. That was my sad and awkward meeting with Paris Hilton in an airport. Meeting celebs in an airport. I've never done it myself, but that's always like the worst place to meet celebrities, right? Either that or restaurants. Going up to say hi to them in a restaurant when they're eating, particularly with wrestlers. I seem to know.
Don't do it to CM Punk by any means.
Well, from that website, Virgil Bag, back in the day. Do you ever trawl through that? It's well worth a look. It's hilarious. I might even, for next week's segment, do a few stories from that. But essentially, they're always drunk and always surly whenever you meet wrestlers in public places,
right.
Particularly wrestlers from the 80s, I would say. I mean, I don't know. I can't vouch for that. But, I mean, what was your experience training under Flash Morgan Webster? Was he quite nice or?
Well, I only had one training session with him, but yeah, he was straightforward. He was very laid back. He was he had a hangover when he was training us, so but it was just standard.
Couldn't do any nasty bumps then during that session, I take it.
No, I mean he came in, did the job, and he went out. He was fine, really. But yeah, I can't really say much about training under him because, like I said, it was only one seminar, really.
Fair dues. Well, who else have you met celebrity-wise that you're free to disclose stuff about?
Oh yeah, well, there's Padge from Bullet for My Valentine, who I met on the night that Whitney Houston died in Hobos in Bridgend, and Padge was drunk off his mind, and so was I, and I went up to him and essentially shook his hand and stuff, but then
all right, bud. I'm a big fan of yours.
Yeah, something like that. I was like, oh, massive fan. I know I regret saying this. I don't know why I said it, but it was something along the lines of, oh, I know Matt gets more attention, but I think you're awesome.
That is the most backhanded thing I've ever heard.
I know. I was like, oh, why the fuck did I just say that? Looking back on it.
That is hilarious.
But yeah,
I know you're not the center of attention in Bullet. In fact, I don't even know why you're in the band, quite frankly. But I like you anyway.
But to be honest, my friend diffused.
You were drunk, in fairness.
Yeah.
Fair, you know.
Well, it diffused the situation a little bit. That my friend came in and said, "Oh, guys, Whitney Houston's just died." So.
Oh no.
So it kind of changed the topic.
It's made the whole thing more awkward. Yeah.
So I'm glad I was drunk. I'm glad he was drunk. So he can't. Well, I don't think he's going to threaten me or anything like that, but, you know, it is what it is, and I'm not 18 anymore, so that's all good. From my point of view, though, if someone's, like, seen one of my videos or my singing or something, and come up to me with words or whatever, I remember this girl, when I was singing in a talent show, messaged me on Facebook and said, "Oh yeah, I think you're really good and stuff." And, you know, she was quite attractive and everything, and we were talking for a little bit, and then the day after, she said, "Oh, do you know this? Are you friends with this guy?" I was like, "Yeah." It's like, "Oh, can you give him my number for me?"
Oh no!
I was like, "You utter twat."
Yeah, I know. Well, that's an entirely different topic for another day, you know. But I feel you there. Anyone else other than Padge or?
Do you remember the old band 18 Visions?
I have heard of them. I think Bees has brought them up a few times on Mosh Talks, but I've never really gone into big into them.
Yeah.
Well, not that I'm saying I'm not a fan. I just haven't really listened to their music yet.
Yeah.
So.
I went to one of his signings, their signings, and I think that was like 13 at the time. And
this wasn't a download or anything.
No, it was in an old record store back in Bridgend. But it was standard. I asked them if I could have some beer. They just laughed out loud, and the lead singer was really chill. The rest of the band were a bit more silent, but he was you know, he had some charisma about him, which was really cool. So yeah, they were really great to talk to, and we just stood there chatting with them for quite a long time. So that was probably one of my favorite experiences there. The other celebrity I've met, Jimmy Carr.
Oh, nice.
Signed his
Now this is going to be interesting. How was he?
the same thing you see on stage, you kind of see off stage as well. Like he's
Oh
got. He's
no,
got
he wasn't
quick whips.
roast. He didn't roast you or anything.
No,
did he?
I can't remember what he said to my mum, who said she was a nurse. But it was I can't remember that part. All I remember was the heckle that I gave. So there was that point of the show where he was asking for heckles. Someone was saying
no, you didn't.
No. So people were saying their gags and
But
things like
I've
that.
seen Jimmy Carr's rebuttals. He doesn't hold back.
Oh yeah. Well, it's fine when you're like saying, "Oh yeah, you stand up shit" or whatever. But when at the last heckle, him saying, "Oh please, has anybody got any more heckles?" and all I do from the crowd is, "Ah!" That was literally all I did. And then he saw it came from me, and he was like, "What the fuck was that?" I was like, "Sorry, I was a bit desperate." And then he said, "You're a bit desperate. Well, you seem like a lovely little nice chap. You're like that kid at the bus station who won't stop licking the bus window."
Oh god.
So that was quite cool.
Brilliant. That's a great one.
I actually, because I was so like frozen, I couldn't actually hear what he said. But it was my mum that told it to me afterwards, because I just, that point where you just freeze and you can't take in any information. That was me at that point.
Of course. So you say you were, how old did you say you were?
When I met Jimmy Carr? Well, that was my 21st.
Oh, right, okay. So you weren't like, it wasn't like you were 5 or something.
Yeah.
Well, that would be an excuse for screaming randomly. But no, 21-year-olds can still do that, ladies and gentlemen.
Especially this guy right here.
Speaking of stand-ups, I met Alan Davis actually after one of his shows.
Yeah.
And he was a nice guy. Basically, everyone, it was after one of his stand-up shows at the Grove in Dunstable. And I was wearing my Arsenal shirt, right, because he's a big Arsenal fan. And everyone, it was a long line. Everyone before him was like asking about Jonathan Creek and QI and all, the usual stuff. And I come up to him and I go, "How do you think we'll do on Saturday?" And he's sort of like, "Oh, I don't know. I wouldn't mind getting Aston Villa." This was the 2015 FA Cup semi-final.
All right, okay.
And it was like, "Oh yeah, do you think we'll get Liverpool?" He goes, "Oh, I don't know. I think I'd rather get Aston Villa, to be honest." Of course, we did get Aston Villa and we thumped them 4-0, so that was always good. But yeah, he's a good lad. He's a very good lad. His podcast is fantastic. It's called The Tuesday Club, all about Arsenal. I guess one of my other notable moments, I met Doug Bradley, who played Pinhead in the Hellraiser films back in the day. This was a con me and my mate Matt went to in like 2010, something like that. Long time ago now. And this was back in the day where we had you still had those cameras that were like with the where you kind of change the roll of film per shot.
Disposable cameras,
that's it. There's back in the day of those, and I was like shaking when I met him, because me and him are big fans of the Hellraiser films, right? But him even more so, and he could just barely speak, and I was quite coherent. I was like, "Oh, he's nervous, yeah, bless him," sort of thing. He goes, yeah, nervous." I'll never forget it. And I didn't get a photo with Doug Bradley myself, but I took a photo of my mate with Doug Bradley, and it's the worst photo ever, because it's like pretty much it's like completely blurred, because my hands were shaking so much when I was trying to take the photo.
Oh dear.
So yeah, that was but he was a lovely guy actually, Doug Bradley.
Yeah.
He's apparently he's a big Liverpool fan as well. Just going back to football debate. And obviously it's intimidating when you know him as like this demon from hell, usually on screen, but he couldn't be further from that. And I guess just to wrap it up, I did meet Chuck Mosley, lead singer of Faith No More, before he passed away. Before Mike Patton came in, he was lead singer of Faith No More. He sung on We Care a Lot, which is one of their biggest tunes. But he was doing a acoustic show down in Canterbury at Lady Luck. And I went down. And again, I remember my mate was so nervous to meet him. Not my mate who was the aforementioned mate who met Doug Bradley, but this other guy who I know down in Canterbury, because he's the biggest Faith No More fan in the world, you know. And I was just like, well, dude, you know, he's come down for this. He probably won't be back again. You know, I suggest you kind of come in and just chat with him. You know, it's just simple. Just have a word. And he's like, yeah, you're probably right. He's probably not going to come back, is he? And obviously, like a year later, he passed away. So I'm very grateful that I got to actually say that to him. But he was a lovely guy, Chuck. In fact, I bought one of his demo CDs, and in it he wrote like lots of love you, man, Chuck, sort of thing in it. So yeah, that was a nice bit of memory. But again, it's just surreal seeing this kind of legendary figure, you know, frontman of one of the greatest metal bands, whatever you call them, bands of the last 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, whatever, just walking about like a normal guy.
Yeah.
Like he's not floating or anything, in the words.
Yeah.
He's not on some sort of pedestal the entire time, or has bodyguards with him, just wandering around ordering drinks like normal, you know?
Yeah, like you spot Herman Lee in a London bar, you know?
But yeah, I have tons of other stuff from my working on Strictly, but I feel like a lot of them might be a bit confidential.
Nah, it's all good. We've got enough of the segments, so
yeah, good stuff. All right, so listen to this.
Yes.
Now, we have had a request from one of our YouTube commenters, and apologies, I can't remember your name, but you suggested that we do Greg Puciato's Down When I'm Not. That's for both of us to listen to. Now, a few weeks ago, we did listen. I did get KB to listen to his tune. What's it?
A Pair of Questions.
A Pair of Questions, yes. And I thought it was just a really nice synth poppy tune, very much a departure from his usual abrasive stuff. I feel like this tune could be a return to his abrasive form.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, we've gone back. We've already discussed.
But this is from his new album, which is called Child Soldier, Creator of God. And unfortunately, the sad thing about this album was that it was leaked to the public by a journalist who shall remain nameless, partly because I don't know his name, but partly because I think he's an absolute tosspot for leaking it. You know, when you've spent so much time and effort into creating a piece of art, for them to just have it leaked, I just think is absolutely abhorrent. You know,
it's just no excuses there, especially when you're supposed to be professional as a journalist.
And also, it's Greg's first solo outing, so you want to impress people.
Yeah.
You know, post Dillinger, and obviously he has Killer Be Killed as well. But this is his first solo album, so people have expectations. And those expectations are kind of not, well, you know, just the fact that it's been leaked just hasn't helped to curb those expectations.
Yeah, so, I mean, there's that.
But I am sorry that I don't know your name, by the way, for suggesting this track. But we are going to listen to it. Okay. So thank you very much for that suggestion.
Absolutely.
I will credit you once I find the right video it was on. Might be this one.
Sorry, I'm just trying to fill everyone in.
Here we go. Yes, it's from Alice in Chains Vault on our YouTube channel. So thank you for that. Great name. Love Alice in Chains. We are both going to listen to Greg Puciato's Down When I'm Not.
Okay.
So should we cue it up?
Let's count it down. Ready?
Okay, so on go, right?
Yep.
3, 2, 1, go.
Ooh, okay. So very different to what I heard before.
This definitely doesn't sound like Dillinger, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
It's a lot more straight ahead rocking so far. I like that atmospheric kind of guitar in the background. Ooh.
I'm trying to think of who this reminds me of. A bit of The Cure sort of thing.
It's a bit more driving than The Cure, but definitely elements of
what type of negatives?
Sort of 80s dark alternative in that vocal delivery.
Yeah, type of negative.
Type of negative is a decent shout. Yeah, I think more in the guitars and the and the mood of it, I guess.
Yeah. I'm glad we got this fragmentation because it is something different.
Yeah, thank you for this. I like this so far.
And it's a good, easy listen as well.
Almost a bit kind of Menzingers-y in the guitars, you know, like that sort of driving punk kind of deal.
Yeah.
Or Gaslight Anthem or something, dare I say. Obviously a bit of a darker version of those two bands, you know. Ah, yes. Bits of like 90s Brit rock in here as well. For me, like the Wild Hearts.
Yeah, of course.
Which again, but I feel like Corey Taylor's done a similar approach to his solo album. I don't know if all of Greg's tracks are like this. Well, I know they're not, in fact. I know there's a lot more that abrasive ones in this. Oh, speaking of which.
Get out the angle grinder.
Yeah. Oh, interesting guitar work here. Sounds very experimental.
Oh, I love those drum fills as well.
Nice, nice. Actually, it reminds me a bit of the male vocalist of Kylisa with his delivery as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, there we go. So that was Down When I'm Not by Greg Puciato. I really enjoyed that. I don't know about you.
Yeah, no, I was like, it was a nice, easy listen just for like, you know, if you're doing the dishes or anything like that, and I just, yeah, can't get enough of it.
Very punky, you know, like very alternative, like 90. It brings to mind like 90s alternative.
Oh
And
yeah,
that
absolutely.
driving Brit rock sound with some ambient elements. The experimental guitar solo was wild. It was kind of Sonic Youth sounding, you know?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
that is the 9th track on his album, his new solo album, his first solo album, Child Soldier Creator of God, which is out now. Yeah, go and listen to it. Go and help him out, considering the album was leaked.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think it would be very nice if people would be able to purchase that.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, on to other things. So, Rob, your song for this week. So, have you heard of a band called Currents?
I have heard of them, but I've never listened to them.
So, I think you've got two different bands called that, but there's the one that we're on about is the gent/metalcore band from Fairfield, Connecticut, who formed in 2009. They've had an album, their first album, Life Lost, and then followed by The Place I Feel Safest, which was kind of like the album which people discovered them on, and then releasing an EP after that called I Let the Devil In, which had 5 songs on it, plus instrumental versions of those songs. And then with their recent album this year, The Way It Ends, and what people have described this album to be is this very atmospheric, kind of chilling kind of sound from them. So if you know, like you listened to Thornhill last week, but you know, it kind of reminds you of that sort of emotional drive. But a lot of their lyrics and stuff like that, and just the way it goes, it just kind of brings all those emotions out of you in that sense, which leads to the last song on that album called Better Days, which it was very tough to choose which song I was going to choose for you off this album, because there was this song, Kill the Ache is another one, and Monsters. Those were 3 I was going to go with. I said, okay, I think this one is probably It's got a good mix of what the ferociousness that is in Monsters, and then those chills you get from Kill the Ache. So I thought this was a good combination of that. So, without further ado, have you got it up in front of you?
I do indeed. And
Okay.
I've also got the track up in front of me. Hey.
All right. Well, on go, we're going to play Better Days by Currents. Three, 2, 1, go.
Nice. I like the arpeggiation already. Nice.
There's a nice mix throughout all of the song.
Yeah.
Very good contender for album of the year as well.
When did this come out, this album?
This year.
Yeah, I know this year, but when this year?
I'm not sure. Maybe May. Oh, June. Sorry.
There's something a bit Linkin Park about this. I don't know why. Do you know what I mean? Oh, until that bit. Oh, I love that guitar work, man. Yes. I'm all about that bit. Bit of Holding Absence in here, I think, as well.
They're on the same record label, Sharp Tone.
Oh, that makes sense. There you go. Oh, his clean sounds a bit like a Tim McElrath from Rise Against. And this bit, gets kind of Touche and Moray vibes. So slightly heavier, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe a bit of Architects in here as well.
It's a reason this is the last song on the album.
I love the guitar work in this, man.
It's brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah. Nice.
Not over yet.
No. Nice. I was also, like I said, I was listening to Tesseract on the way to London yesterday. There's definite elements of that in here.
Yeah.
Oh, I like the overlapping harsh and clean vocals.
Yeah.
That's an interesting take.
It's just picking up everything, isn't it?
Oh, the yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
So I can't recommend this album enough. Just for
I'm
that
having
alone.
that all day long. Yeah, I'm adding that to that album to my playlist.
Yeah, and give a good listen to their previous album as well, The Place I Feel Safest. So that album is... Oh, I keep forgetting the name.
That album is called The Way It Ends.
The Way It Ends, yeah, that's the one. I'm supposed to be
from 2020.
Yeah. So, yeah, what are your overall thoughts on that?
Man, there's so much good music this year.
I know.
Say what you want about, like, I don't know, the current state of world affairs, but my God, we've had some bangers this year.
Absolutely.
And that is definitely one of them. You know?
Okay, well, sorry, I've got a
That's
little
all.
bit
That's all I can say, really. Just a roller coaster. I like the overlapping interweaving vocal lines, you know, the contrast between the harsh vocals and the clean vocals. I love the guitar work, the the scale bending exercise, modulating, yada yada, whatever you want to call it. Just great. That is right up my alley. More of that, please.
Absolutely. Well, that is Better Days by the band Currents.
Okay, right. Boy, have I got one for you now, Kieran.
I can see one of their songs right off the bat of it, top of it, called Libidinous, in brackets, a pig with cocks in its eyes. So I'm looking forward to
Well, that is not the one I've gone for. We are talking about the band Anaal Nathrakh, who are a British extreme metal band, black and death metal, grindcore, industrial metal. What I got to say, they're quite hard to categorize, really. What they are is absolutely abrasive. is the best word I can describe them.
To quote Roy from the IT crowd, is there anything about them that's not manly?
Fair enough. So this song is from their 11th studio album called Endarkenment, which was released on the 2nd of October. I listened to it last week and I was just mouth open all the way through. It's overwhelming. You know, that's the best way I can describe this album. It is most definitely a soundtrack to the nihilistic world that we're living in at the moment, you know?
All right.
And it's very much an acquired taste, you know?
Yeah.
So this band, Anaal Nathrakh, they formed in Birmingham, England. They're currently signed to Metal Blade Records. Their band's name is Irish for snake's breath, apparently. I didn't know that. Oh, there you go. It's taken from the Merlin's Charm of Making in John Boorman's 1981 film Excalibur, which I believe had Liam Neeson and Patrick Stewart in. And they've released 10 studio albums, 1 EP, 1 compilation album. They've been praised for mixing elements of grindcore, black metal, death metal, industrial, and other genres. And the other genres thing is interesting because I want to hear your immediate thoughts on these clean vocals whilst we're listening to it. But anyway, so this song is called Feeding the Death Machine, which I would say is my pick of this album as my favorite song from it, probably. Let's do this. Are you nervous about this one?
I mean, I've been holding off this because you've wanted me to react to it. Otherwise, I would have listened to it sooner. Because I have listened to.
So this song is Anaal Nathrakh and Feeding the Death Machine. 3, 2, 1, go.
Starting off strong. I like it.
I got to say, this is probably one of the less mental tracks on this album, but that's not saying much because this track is still absolutely batshit insane.
Ooh. Doesn't sound like a traditional black metal vocal. It's just kind of got a mix in there.
Slightly.
Oh. That is so different. What is going on?
I know, right?
Why am I listening to power metal? It's like walking to
I
the
know,
wrong
it's
bar.
power metal, right? That's what I was hoping you would say. It's so strange.
So a power metal vocalist walks into a bar.
I don't even know if they've employed clean vocals in the past, this band, but it works so well in a weird way.
I love this black metal inspired riff as well. It really,
sure.
The more you hear it, it gets increasingly better. I love that bit, just that bloody chugging of the...
Very chuggy riffage, isn't it?
Yeah.
Almost kind of mellow death rather than like black metal, intrinsically.
Right, straight after this podcast, I'm listening to this album all the way through.
There we go, I've done my job.
And we're not even all the way through the song yet. I'm also having a sandwich as well because I'm hungry.
Yeah, fair dues.
I remember the album that took me by surprise last year was Cattle Decapitation's album. If you like this, you'll like that album. Most definitely.
There it is. Solo.
Ooh.
Again, when I saw that Anaal Nathrakh released an album and everyone on Mosh Talks was raving about it, I did not expect solos like this or clean vocals like that.
Nah.
Or just straight up groovy riffage like this. I just thought it was just going to be an absolute bombardment of sort of discordant chaos.
It's kind of reminiscent of the Orbit Culture reaction, wasn't it? Because you don't expect those thrashy vocals to that death metal growling.
This chorus is so hooky, it's ridiculous. An unperson of fear, we vermin of the tears, castrated by events, I'm just an architect.
Castrated by events?
Castrated by events, which I feel like is a nice metaphor to sum up 2020.
Is that why there's cocks in the pig's eyes?
Yeah, there's a lot of I don't know, genitalia references in this. It's but there we go. That was "Feeding the Death Machine" by Anaal Nathrakh from their latest album, Endarkenment. What are your immediate thoughts on that tune?
I mean, I'm already like shaking, so I'm gonna have to like hold that thought on what the reaction is.
Well, it's amazing how songs can elicit emotional responses such as that from people. You know, that's what you want in a good song.
I mean, well, like I said, I'm going to listen to the album just straight after this podcast.
Like I said, that compared to some of the other songs on the album, that was like barely scratched the surface of how mental this album actually is. But this song was written on the day of the 75th anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz, after hearing an interview with a prisoner who survived simply because she could play the cello. So
it's got its historic symbolism as well in it.
I guess so. Yeah, I mean, so we have cello exclusion in feudal choice in complete absence of human growth is a line from the first verse. So apparently the song draws on Jens Bjørneboe's devastating technique of horrifying the reader precisely by mentioning incomprehensibly horrific events in an apparently matter-of-fact style and without touching upon the actual horror. This text concentrates on the role of perhaps the most contemptible figure of all, the craven, self-excusing bureaucrat. So yeah, again, castrated by events, I'm just an architect, and I'm person of fear, we vermin of the tears. Like, there's a lot to take from that metaphorical wise, you know.
Yep. Well, I'm sure I'm not a fan of being castrated, but less I say about that, the better.
Oh, there you go. That was that was a hell of a song.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
And I'm glad it makes you want to check out more of the album. Anyway,
I thought you were just going to say, I'm glad it makes you want to cut your balls off. No, thank you.
Well, there we go then. Right, now we come to our very last segment of the podcast. And it's one that we've been keeping up for all 8 episodes now. Would you rather? So the way this works, I have 100 would you rather questions from signupgenius.com. I give KB a number between 1 and 100. I give KB a list of 1 to 100. He picks a number from that one. I've completely botched this. Let's start this again. I have a list of 100 would you rather questions. KB picks a number between 1 and 100, and I read out the resulting would you rather question, and we discuss it. There we go. Why didn't I start with that?
10 out of 10.
Number between 10 out of 10. Right. Number between 1 and 100, please, KB.
74.
70. Ooh, okay. Would you rather be fluent in all languages or be a master of every musical instrument? well, that's a no-brainer for me.
We had one similar to this with the talking to animals, but we may as well continue it on. So, fluent in all languages or master of every... no-brainer for me, master of every instrument.
Master of every instrument for me as well.
Because, you know...
As much as I would love to be able to speak multiple languages, I mean, it'd be useful to get money from it. Well, then again, it would be useful to get money from knowing every musical instrument, unless you're Rishi Sunak. But we won't get into that. Yeah, like that you could still people in countries you can still get by with English, and people can you can still ask people stuff in your native language that they'd be able to comprehend, to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Or you could go on Google Translate or whatever.
I mean,
whereas
yeah,
being able to play every instrument is a skill that takes years to perfect.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean,
any instrument. I'm still not very good at guitar. I've been playing for 10 years. I'm still not very good at it. But so you've gone for the same answer then?
Absolutely. I mean, I already sing. Imagine if I could sing and play piano, sing and play guitar, sing and play drums, sing and play clarinet.
Yeah. Be Prince, essentially.
Exactly.
Being able to play every single... I'd love to learn how to play drums, actually. It's something that I've been thinking in the back of my mind, this week.
I tried it, but I don't know. I was on the second floor and it kept thumping into the kitchen, so it wasn't the best.
Did you... Well, you legitimately tried to learn drums?
I was trying to, yeah, but it was just an electric kit. Someday when I get a house and I have a garage, I think I'll set up a drum kit in there, and I hope Katie lets me.
Fair dues. Yeah. Well, I just think drums are so much harder than guitar though, because you're multitasking. In terms of your anatomy, you've got to do things with your feet, things with your hands. You've got to count well. You've got to keep the beat. You're the engine room of a band if you're the drummer.
Yeah, and you keep the rhythm of the band as well.
But then again, you'd get loads of work if you're a drummer, right? Particularly in local bands, everyone will want to have you play in their bands. Whereas if you're a guitar player, everyone knows people who play guitar. Everyone knows vocalists, bass players.
Yeah, what seems important for a guitarist is how creative they are and what they...
Whereas my mate Dan, who's in our band Wednesday, he's in about 3 different bands at the moment, just because he's the only drummer that everyone can rely on.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it's hard these days to find reliable musicians, I think. I don't know. The passion's
gone. What would you say about languages then? Why not languages?
Because, as you said, I mean, I've only really needed, English, Spanish, the most popular languages, if anything.
You can speak Welsh as well, though, right?
I kind of, but I don't know, not many people speak Welsh anymore, rather than, the north of Wales and West Wales, so... I don't think it's... Sorry to say it, but it's just not the most successful language at the moment. I mean, I agree that it's compulsory, to be taught in schools. I agree with that, but to keep the tradition up. But at the same time, yeah,
you think it's going to go the way of Latin or something?
Possibly, I think so.
All right. Well, again, I would love to be fluent in all languages and be a master of every musical instrument.
Yeah.
But yeah, music is my life. It's my passion. It's my everything at the moment. So I would absolutely love to be able to know every musical instrument. It would certainly make this EP that I'm working on be less strenuous.
Yeah.
It might even be an LP, who knows? But I've been working on it for years now, and I'm just not satisfied with it. I would love to be a master of recording equipment, be a good producer.
I'm getting there, I think.
That would be my thing, really.
Yeah.
It would save me a lot of money as well. So pretty, what's the word? I can't think anymore. We've been going for so long. All the thoughts all the vocab has left my brain.
Yeah. All right. Should we have the last one and then we'll
let's do one more and then we'll call it a day. So number between 1 and 100.
Okay. MS Winfield said, languages every time. It embarrasses me how every other country knows how to speak language and how lazy we are. That we don't really put enough about other languages into our...
That's very true, Michael. Yeah, I do agree. I agree we should probably put a bit more effort into learning other cultures' languages.
Yeah.
But I just love music too much.
I mean, I can understand. We have we have a great connection with French and German, I think.
I like speaking German, I've got to say. Like, I remember in the school trip to Berlin, everyone was relying on me to get by ordering food and things because I was the only one who was actually quite invested in German.
But it would be useful in the Premier League as well because the amount of Brazilians coming over to.
Well, I mean, Arteta, he shouts at each of his players in their own native languages.
So that's good. If you could just change that on the fly. But anyway, next.
Yeah, number between 1 and 100. This is going to be our last one.
61.
61. So, would you rather be poor and work at a job you love or rich and work at a job you hate?
Poor and work at a job I love.
This is a really tough one for me.
It is one
I
of those.
like money, but I also like to be happy with myself.
What about if you were to have that job you hate and then quit?
How do you mean? So if you hate your job and then you make loads of money, but you only do it for a certain amount of time,
and then you quit, yeah,
and then you do the.
I mean,
suppose that
you can't
work.
really do it the other way around. Have a job you love and then quit because you'd be even poorer.
So, I would. I work at a job I love. I've got to say, and I really hope I still work at a job that I love come next year.
Yeah, I think in terms of question how rich we're talking, rich in relation to the current economy, I'd say. If we want to,
well, I mean, the economy's screwed, isn't it? So we were in the middle of another recession, so couldn't be that much.
I'm gonna hike my entrepreneurial prices up, I think.
I would rather. I agree. I mean, if we're talking how poor are we talking as well? Because I don't want to be absolutely destitute and work at a job I love. It just wouldn't be worth it,
What about? Well, it's got to be at least minimum wage,
Yeah, if it's at least minimum wage, I would definitely rather work at a job I've I've been on the other side of the fence of working at jobs I couldn't stand.
I think these days I'm not it's not my priority to have a really fancy car or anything. I just need something that gets me around.
Exactly. If I just get by on minimum wage and I can afford to buy a house or a car, or I get by on what little I earn, then I would much rather work at a job that I love.
So yeah, I would probably. Well, in my mind, I think rich and then quit. That's my decision.
and then just quit. That's it. Gone.
Yeah. And
right. Okay.
And I think in my mind, I can hate a job, but also find ways to make light of it as well.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess I guess that's what. I guess overall, summing up the overarching theme of this is that it's good to laugh at stuff. It's good to take the good times with the bad, and it's good to just be alive, sometimes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that's a wrap up on episode 8 of the Keyard podcast. Thank you so much for listening, everyone who's come by on Twitch. You can find optimized versions of all the topics we've covered in this podcast on our YouTube channel. That's the Keyard podcast on YouTube. KB, where can everyone find you?
You can find me here, where I'm streaming on my own on Wednesdays and Fridays. Not to put it down, I know.
You're doing Alien Isolation, aren't you?
Yeah, we all miss Rob, but the show must go on. YouTube as well. Same, Kieran Benji. Twitter, Kieran Benji. Instagram, Kieran Benji. TikTok, Kieran Benji. Facebook, Kieran Benji. Cover channel,
there you go.
KB Cook. Yeah.
No half measures. You just easy enough to find, right?
Exactly. And Kieran Benji everywhere. That's the way it should be.
Everywhere. That's how it absolutely should be. So I'm Rob V93 on Twitch and on Twitter. I have a music page on Facebook, Rob Very Hard Music, where I post all of my new tunes. My band Wednesday has a Facebook page and an Instagram page. That's WENZDAY. We are a Green Day tribute band and potentially looking to play some gigs soon at Esquires. So who knows? Who knows what's going to come of that? But you want to sign off, KB? It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, guys. And until next Saturday, and until next streaming days, and the next video days, and the next day.
And the next curtain days.
Thank you. And once again, lights out.